Hello and welcome everybody. Now the training today is full training for admins on GovernorHub. Now if you are a clerk for a governing board or a trust board, you will most likely have admin rights, but that's not limited to the clerks. If you're a head teacher or a chair or even just somebody who's quite tech savvy, you could also have admin rights over your board. If you are brand new to GovernorHub, then this training is perfect for you. I'm going to show you everything in lots of detail so that you can administer your board, you can upload documents, you can create meetings in your calendar, really the full GovernorHub experience. Here we go. So a little bit of background on GovernorHub. Now, GovernorHub was built by governors for governors, so it really is tailored to the work that you do as a clerk or as a member of your governing board. It's a website, which means you don't need to install software on a computer. You don't need to do anything like logging into a school's network in order to access it. It's just a website. When you are invited to join GovernorHub, you'll be sent an email with a link to set up your account. That will go to whichever email you choose to use. It could be a school email address, or it could be a personal email address. If you want to know more about using personal email addresses on GovernorHub, there is more information in our help center, which I'll show you a little bit later, but it can be any email address. And you choose your own password. So we don't issue passwords for GovernorHub, you choose that for yourself, so only you need to know your own password. Now, when you first sign in to GovernorHub, you're taken through to this page here, which is the Governor News page. Now, this page pulls in articles on education or schools from all over the country, from different outlets. So you see there's quite a bit here from the Department for Education, from other outlets such as Schools Week. You'll have things from the BBC, from The Guardian, from all sorts of news outlets, anything that they categorise as education. So you can have a quick scroll down and have a look at what's going on in the world of education. Over on the right-hand side of the news page here, you've got your upcoming events box. Now, this shows you all of the events that you've got coming up in your calendars. And I'll show you how to create those events in the calendar in a little while. But just at a glance, you can see all of the meetings that you've got coming up. And with those meetings, you can add a link to a video meeting. So whether that's a Zoom, like we are on now, or a Teams meeting, or perhaps a Google Meet, or even a Skype meeting, you can add those details to the event in the calendar. And what we do is we pull out that link and we pop it into this video button here. So this will be on the news page for all of your governors as well. So when they first log into GovernorHub, if the thing that they're just trying to do is to join that video meeting, then that button is there at their fingertips. You can also link events to a folder of documents. And we pull that out into this folder button here as well. So really all of the information that you need about this meeting that you've got coming up, you can get to with just one click on one of these buttons here. Now, the first thing I'll show you is your profile page on GovernorHub. So I mentioned that the training here is for admins. So I'm signed in as an admin for a school called Wise Owl School, which is our demo school. Now, the difference between an admin and someone who's not got admin rights is admins have a few extra powers on GovernorHub. They can do things like adding and removing board members. They can do things like locking documents so that they can't be changed by non-admins, and basically any other changes that you want to make to the board's information on GovernorHub. It also means that you can update any of the details for any of your governors as well. So to get to your profile page, and I'll show you what that means for your other governors' information too, to get to your profile page, click on your name in the top bar up here. Now, we did a bit of a run over all of the clerks that we have on GovernorHub to find the most common surname, which unsurprisingly is Smith, and the most common first name, which is Sarah. So if we've got any Sarah Smiths on the call today, you're not alone. So I'm signed in here as Sarah Smith. And if I click on my name, I can then click to go to my profile page. This profile page has 4 different sections. You've got the About You section here, which we're on already. This shows you all of your basic information, like your name and your email address, contact details, including your postal address and phone numbers. And you've got any additional information as well down the bottom. So things like date of birth, your experience, and DBS reference numbers as well. If you need to update any of this information, you can click on the various edit buttons underneath each section. So you can edit your basic details, edit your contact details, or additional information. And if you just want a bit of reassurance as to who can see the information on your profile page, each section has this "Who can see this" button. And if you click on that, it will give you more information as to who this data is exposed to. In this case, members of the boards that I'm a member of can see my contact details. Now, if you want to change that and you actually want to only show your contact details to the admins of the groups or the boards that you are a member of, you can toggle this switch here. And you'll see that changes to say that only admins of my boards can see my contact details. This is actually something that we ask you to choose when you're first setting up your account. You'll have a question that says, do you want to share your details with people that aren't admins for your boards? So you choose that as you're setting up your account, but if you ever need to come back in and change it, this is the place that you can do that. Carrying on in your profile page then, you have this declarations area. Now this is where you can record your declarations of interest and where your governors can record their declarations of interest as well. Now we've got different fields that you can fill in: the entity, so the company for example, the nature, you're a director or an employee, and any additional information that you want to fill in. Then the dates that it applies, so the date that you were employed by the company, or if it was a sort of one-off event, you can then record the date that that happened. Hopefully you've got enough fields here to fill in all the information that you need. Now on each board's GovernorHub page, there is an area where you can download information for your board, and one of those downloads is the declarations of interest for every member of the board. Now that just pulls from everybody's profile page and puts that into one handy report for you. But if you want, you can also download an individual person's declarations using this link here. So if I wanted to download just a list of the declarations that I have on GovernorHub, I can click on that and that will export that as a Word document for me. And what's good about that particular report is there is a space at the bottom for a signature. So if you wanted to, you could get your governors to input all of their declarations of interest into GovernorHub, then download that declarations report for each individual person, get them to sign it, and that is what you can store away, for example, in the school's office. So it's saving that duplication of work. They're not filling in a form and also filling in GovernorHub. You can just put it into GovernorHub and export that form from their profile page. If you want to though, you can also sign your declarations of interest electronically using these buttons here. So under the general confirmation section, you've got two different confirmations. The first one is to confirm declarations of interest are correct. You can hit confirm and that will save the date and who they were confirmed by. Now again, I'll just reiterate that as an admin, you can update the information on any of your governor's profile pages. So you could, if you wanted to, confirm your governor's declarations on their behalf. And so that's why we saved who they were actually confirmed by. You also have the option to confirm that you have read and understood keeping children safe in education. And there's actually a link off to the most current version of that document here as well. Same sort of thing, hit confirm, and that saves that off there. Now, everybody will have these two confirmations on their profile page. So you don't have to worry about storing this anywhere else. It will always be on your governor's profile pages on GovernorHub. What you also have are confirmations that are specific to your school. So for example here, Wise Owl school confirmations, there are two. I've read the online safety policy and there's a link to the online safety policy as well. And I agreed to buy my clerk a cake at least once per term, which is probably one of my favourite confirmations that we have for our school here. I'll show you where you can add these confirmations. Probably the most commonly used confirmation is around the code of conduct. So obviously each school will likely have their own code of conduct. So you can add that to all of your governor's profile page, and they'll have the option to confirm that they will abide by the code of conduct. Another tab you have in your profile page then is training. Now, if you happen to be on GovernorHub, if you have a link to a governor services provider or perhaps a MAT that uses GovernorHub for their training bookings, so they'll have an area on GovernorHub where you can browse the courses and you can book yourself onto those courses, then any bookings that you have will appear in the top section here. You've also got an area for your training records. Now, again, if you're on GovernorHub with a provider that uses GovernorHub for their training, any training that you book through GovernorHub and that you attend will automatically be added to your training record here below. You can also add courses yourself. So if it's a course that you've taken outside of GovernorHub, or if your provider isn't actually on GovernorHub, you can add a new training record to your profile page here. And all you need to do is click add, type in the name of the training, safeguarding course, for example, choose the date that you undertook the training. I'm going to say yesterday, and hit save. And you'll see that gets added to your profile. And again, on the boards page, there is an option to download all of the training records for everybody on the board. And that will pull through from everyone's profile page and put it into one handy report for you. Finally, you have your settings page. Now, this is the only area of the profile page that you won't be able to update for your governors. Only the governors themselves can update their settings. There's some email and notification options. So when you post up on what we call the notice board on GovernorHub, so this is where you send messages to the other members of your board, we send those messages out via email. And if you want a copy of the email that gets sent, you can just toggle this switch on here, or leave it off if you're happy not to receive the email. Again, if you're on GovernorHub with a governor services or a MAT, you can opt in or out of updates from them via email. They can use GovernorHub to send messages and updates to all of their boards, and emails from us here at GovernorHub as well. Then you've got an option for each of the schools that you are a member of. Now, as I mentioned, when you do things like posting on a notice board, or when other members of your board post on the notice board, we send those messages out via email. And if you want to, you can control the level of emails that you are receiving for each of your schools. Now, the recommended settings is that it is high. And what that means, if I click on when will you be notified, it means that you'll be notified of messages to committees or groups that you're a member of, but not to committees that you're not a member of. So say you're a member of the finance committee on your board and someone posts a message to the curriculum committee, you won't be notified about that one. However, if you find that you want to receive more or even fewer emails from GovernorHub, you can toggle this switch at the top, and you can increase to receive all emails or decrease to receive fewer emails as needed. And always check out what you will and won't receive down the bottom here as you change it. I'll just toggle that back on to the recommended for now. In privacy and security here, there's the same option to hide your contact details from the other members of your board. The same one we had on the main About You page. That's just another place to set it in here. You can update your password here as well. Then finally, if you're quite a busy clerk, if you have a lot of boards that you are a member of, you might find that what we call the washing line, which is this line going across the top of the page here, where these icons are hanging, you might find that that gets quite busy. So if you want to, you can customize which icons display on your washing line and which ones don't. So the ones that you use quite often are there, and the other ones just get condensed into a nice handy list for you. So that's the profile page. Now, as we go along, I will stop every so often and just check for any questions that have come in. So I'll do that now and just see if there's anything that I need to answer. No, brilliant. I can see that my lovely colleagues in the GovernorHub team here are picking up all of the fantastic questions that are coming in. So I mentioned the washing line there. So the washing line is what you use to navigate around GovernorHub. So up on your washing line, you'll have a few different icons depending on what schools you're a member of and what services you subscribe to as well. The first icon here is the news page. So if you want to get back out to that main news page at any time, you can click on news and that will take you back out here. You'll then have an icon for your school or for each of the schools that you are a member of, if you happen to clerk for multiple boards or you're a member of multiple governing boards. Then you might also have an icon for the key for school governors. So this is one of the lovely integrations that we're working on now, as GovernorHub is now part of the key family. Obviously, there's a great link between GovernorHub and the key for school governors. So we're bringing those two closer together. And here's one way that we're doing it. If your school has a subscription to the key for school governors and to GovernorHub, you'll be able to click on the icon here to click through to the key for school governors. There are other integrations already. So if you're reading an article on the key for school governors, for example, you can share that article with your board on GovernorHub. And there'll be lots more integrations like that coming up as we go through this next kind of year or so. So look out for those. I'll take you through the school page now though. So click on your school on the washing line and that'll take you through to your board's GovernorHub page here. Now, most boards on GovernorHub look very similar. You'll have these four sections: the notice board, calendar, documents, and the governing board, or perhaps trust board if it's a trust that you are a member of. The notice board does what it says on the tin. You can post a question or you can send a message to the other members of your board. You can see here as you scroll down all of the messages that have been sent out in the past as well. So if you want to send a message, click in the box and type your message. Hello, governors. You'll see there's some formatting tools here in this little menu. You can add emoji if you want to. These are actually quite handy. So when you post on the notice board, people can add reactions, which is sort of like a like on Facebook and other sort of social media. So if you wanted to, you could say, please reply with a tick once you've seen this, and then your governors can do so. Or if you just want to jazz up your messages, you can add some nice colourful emojis in there. You can also add links. So using this link icon here, if I click on that, I've got two options really. I can either paste in the link to an external website, so say that's maybe the school's website, or just something I've seen on the web that I want to share. But I can also add links to any of the documents and folders that are in my documents section on GovernorHub. Over on the right hand side, you'll see there's a folder button. If I click on that, I can browse through all of the documents that I've got in my documents section here. So I can open up any of the folders and find the one that I want to link. Or I can simply type in the name of a document and it acts as a little search engine. And so it will give me any of the documents that match what I've typed in. Say I wanted to share my data protection policy, I can click on that. It will fill in the name of the document as the sort of hyperlinked text. Hit OK, and you'll see there's my document in my documents section. And you can add as many links as you like. So if I wanted to also link to my full policies folder, for example, I could add that link in there as well to really build up the message that I want to send. Now, as soon as you hit send, that message will be posted on the notice board here below for everyone to see when they sign in. So all of the members of your board will see your message here on the notice board. It will also be sent out as an email to all of the members of your board as well. Now, if you want to, you can control who that email gets sent to using this drop down here. You'll see the default is that we will send the email to all members of the governing board. So that means everybody who's been added to your board's GovernorHub page. If you want to though, you could send it to perhaps just the members of a particular committee. So just my curriculum and standards committee, or to just an individual person on the governing board. So I also want to send that to John Smith, for example, and you can mix and match these as much as you like. The important thing to note is whoever you choose in this drop down will just control who gets emailed about your message. The message will still appear on the notice board for everybody to see, when they sign in, but only these people will be notified by email. If I hit send then, you'll see there's my message on the notice board there, and that has also gone out as an email to the Curriculum and Standards Committee and also John Smith. Now that email will contain the full body of my message. So it will say Sarah Smith has posted on the notice board, and it will have my full message, hello governors, etc., including those links that I put in my message. The important thing there, though, is these are just links to those documents within your board's GovernorHub page. They're not attachments to emails that will be floating around in people's inboxes forever. It's just a link. So the access to those documents is totally controlled through GovernorHub. To access those documents, you'll need to be a member of the school's GovernorHub page and also log in before you can access them. So if someone's then removed from your board, if they're no longer a governor, they might still have this email in their inbox, but those links will just stop working for them. So they'll no longer have access to those documents. For notice board posts, you can add comments. So a text comment, thanks, whatever it might be. And again, this will get sent by email to the person who originally sent the message and anyone else who's been emailed before. So all the members of the Curriculum and Standards Committee and John Smith will be emailed. And if anybody else had commented before me, they will get an email about my comment as well. So anybody who's been involved in this notice board post will be emailed about my comment. And you can add those reactions that I mentioned earlier. So again, with these nice emojis here, you could ask, say, your governors to react with a tick once they've seen your message. And if you hover over, you can see exactly who reacted with what. If you want to, you can pin your message to the top of the notice board as well. And that means that regardless of however many more messages come in after yours, your message will always stay at the top of the notice board. To pin a message, just click on the star icon here. Give it a title, so there's got a bit more context, so data protection policy, for example. Hit pin, and you'll see that then gets added to this pinned posts section at the top of my notice board. So as I say, even if more and more messages come in down below, my message here will always stay at the top until you're ready for it to not be there anymore, in which case you can just click on that star icon again. There's a couple more options for notice board posts, and you can see those with this sort of 3 vertical dots icon that we have here. Now you'll see this icon quite a lot on GovernorHub, and it usually means that there's more options for whatever it is that you're looking at. Now in this case, I can copy a link to this post. So if I wanted to put that in a new notice board post, for example, I can delete my message if I wanted to, and I can edit that title that I've given it as a pinned post. And the same for comments. If I want to, I can delete my comment down here. Now, as an admin, you can delete anybody else's notice board posts and comments as well as your own. So any members of the board can post on the notice board and they can delete their own messages and their own comments. But as an admin, you can delete other people's messages as well. So if someone's posted something that maybe they shouldn't have done, you can remove that from the notice board if needed. Obviously, if it's gone out by email, unfortunately, you can't get that email back, but at least it won't be on the notice board anymore. Over on the right-hand side of the notice board, you've got some information about the school. You have things like the school website and phone number in here as well. Obviously, this is our kind of dummy school, so we haven't got a lot of useful information. And links to things like DFE, Parent View, Community Insights. Now, this is a page that we've put together using the data from the 2011 census at the moment. Obviously, we're waiting for the new data to come out for it to be updated. But basically, it takes the postcode for your school and gives you some information about the area around your school. So things like household income, ethnicity, religion, language, those sorts of things. So it's a really great way of seeing if your governing board is representative of the community around your school. Then down the bottom here, you can set a Twitter username for your school. So if your school has a Twitter feed, You can set the username in the About page, which I'll show you in just a moment, and that will pull in the tweets to the side of the notice board here. We've just got it set to the main GovernorHub feed, but you can have that set to your own school. So that's the notice board there. Again, let me just pause and see if there are any questions. So the question there about, can I unpin a post? Yeah, so the way to unpin a post is click on the pin post to read it and just click on that star there. Lovely. Now, I mentioned there a lot about the members of the board and the committees that you have on your board. So what I'm going to do is just take you along to the fourth tab here, the Governing Board tab, to show you where you can manage your board's membership. So in here, you have a list of all of the current members of your board, and you can see lots of information about those members as well. So Fred Bloggs here, for example, I can see as a co-opted governor who hasn't actually yet registered on GovernorHub. So what that means is Fred has been added to the board, has been sent an email with the invitation to set up his account, but hasn't actually actioned that email yet. You can see people's committee membership with these blue labels that we have here. You can see the important roles, so things like head teacher, co-chair, CEO, clerk, those sorts of things. And then the grey labels are for any other roles that you have on your board, so link governors, SEND governors, those sorts of things. And you can also see with the green labels who has admin rights, so who are the people that can make the changes that I'm showing you today. To see more information about somebody, if you click on their name, you can see more information about their appointment, so the type of governor they are and term of office dates and things like that. If you need to make any changes to this information, again, you've got this 3 dots option here. You can edit the information. You can quickly reappoint somebody. So if they are at the end of their term of office, you can reappoint them, and that will add an extra 4 years or whatever term you have defined for that particular type of governor, or you can remove that appointment from that person if you want to. You see there's some buttons underneath the person here as well. So if I wanted to make Fred an admin as well as me, I can do so just by clicking on that button there, or remove him as an admin as well. I can resend that registration email to Fred. So when someone's added to your board, they will automatically be emailed with a link to set up their account. But if that was a while ago and Fred's lost the email or whatever it might be, you can resend that registration email using this button here. Or if someone has actually already set up their account, you'll see that changes to send a password email button. So if they've forgotten their password, you can trigger off that email to them. This is how you can view someone's full profile page. So if you need to amend any of the information on the profile page for any of your governors, just click on their name and click on this button here. You can add an appointment for somebody as well. So in this case, Joseph doesn't currently have an appointment. We don't know what type of governor he is or a term of office for him either. So if I click add an appointment, you'll then be able to either use this drop down, click on the arrow here and have a scroll through, or type in the name of the kind of type of governor that you want to assign to Joseph. Now what we do here, which is quite handy, is we tell you the types that you have defined in your board's constitution. Again, I'll show you where to set up your board's constitution in just a little while, but we'll tell you all the types that you've got available and also how many spaces of each type you have available. So you can make sure you're not overfilling your constitution when you're adding the appointment type here. There are non-constitution types as well though. So all of the kind of common types that you might have for people on your board that aren't actually constitutional types, so things like associate member or clerk, observer, or sort of other. So if you wanted maybe other members of the senior leadership team on there, for example, you might add them and have them as other. And then we've got pretty much any other type that you could hopefully want. There's a very, very long list. If you do have a type in your constitution that we don't have on here, do let us know. But hopefully we've got everything that you could need. Choose the one you want to assign then, and you'll see you've got spaces to fill in, term of office dates, nominating authority, and additional information as well. Term of office dates, if you choose a first appointed date, let's go for 16th of November. What we'll do is we'll fill in the end date for you as 4 years minus a day later, and also the first appointed date as well, but if you need to, you can update any of those. Click add, and you'll see that that adds that appointment to Joseph in here. The final option then is to remove somebody from your board. So if you want to remove a governor who's maybe stepped down or come to the end of their term of office, you can hit remove here. And what that gives you is a form here to fill in with some more information. So the date that they actually left the board, the reason that you're removing that person, so things like term of office expiry or resignation, and any other notes that you want to fill in as well. And what that will do is that will then save off those details in our historical members area, which I'll show you in just a second. So say Joseph resigned, I'll remove him from the board. And that puts him into another section for historical members over here, which I'll show you in just a moment. Now, the key thing to note here is if somebody doesn't have an appointment, so they don't have this information here about their governor type, we won't save them in the historical members area, purely because the people that you need to know about historically are the ones who were members of the board, and not sort of people just sitting on there for access or temporarily for any other reason. The final thing then is to add somebody to your board. You can click add member here. Type in their name. So I'm going to go with Jane Doe. Oh, look, we've got lots of Jane Does in the past. Let's go for number 44. Put in their email address, make it up an email address in here, and hit next. If that person is already on GovernorHub, so perhaps they've already got an account because they're already a member of another board, we'll say Jane Doe is already on GovernorHub. Does this email address still belong to Jane? You can click yes or no if it's like a sort of head@school.co.uk email address. You can reassign that to the new head teacher if you wanted to. But if they're not on GovernorHub, you just need to fill in their name in here. At this point, you can also fill in their appointment details, so those same options that we had for Joseph just a minute ago. But you saw how you could add an appointment afterwards when someone's already been added to the board, so you don't have to do that at this point. Once you're happy with all that, then click Invite to GovernorHub, and that will add Jane as a member of my board. There she is, and will automatically send an email to Jane with a link to set up her account. So for now, it will say that she's not yet registered on GovernorHub, but as soon as she's clicked on that link in her email and set up her account, then that will disappear and she'll have all of the access to the board that she needs to have. Now, I mentioned historical members. So those are the current members of your board. Historical members all live in here. Now, as I say, when you're removing somebody, we will automatically save off their details as long as they had an appointment at the time. So Joseph here, for example, you can see the reason for the removal. Any roles that Joseph had would have been stored in here, and any committees that Joseph was a member of as well. You can see what his term of office was and first appointed dates. Lots of useful information. We also save their declarations of interest from their profile page and their training records from their profile page as well. And when you download the declarations report or the training records report from the board's page, which I'll show you where those are in just a little while, we will also include those for any historical members as well. If you wanted to add your own records to this area though, so I say some of them are generated automatically when you remove someone from the board, but if you actually wanted to backfill this with your own information, you can click Add Record here and fill in all of the information, the date they left, their name, roles, committees, any appointments they had, lots of useful information in there. So that's your kind of members list. I mentioned lots of things in there like roles and committees and constitutions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the rest of this governing board tab, and then I will pause at the end for any questions. So coming along under here, you've got your roles area. So this is where you can add any roles that your board might have. Now, by default, you'll all have a chair, vice chair, and clerk role on your board. Then you can add as many other roles as you like. One of the things to notice, we often get asked about co-chairs or co-vice chairs. If you do have co-chairs or co-vice chairs, because these two at the top only allow you to have one person in them, best thing you can do is leave that one blank and create your own role for co-chair like we've done here, and assign the two co-chairs or two co-vice chairs to that role. To add a new role, type it in down the bottom here. So for example, our safeguarding governor. Click add, and you'll then see that that role is available for me to assign to somebody. I can do that using this little add button here. And I can start typing in the person's name, and that will give me anybody that matches from my members list. I'm going to assign that to Jane Doe, but actually also going to assign it to Fred Blogs as well. And you can assign as many people to that role as needed. To remove a role from somebody, if you hover over their name, I'll just zoom in a bit here so you can see that. You'll see there's a little X on their name. If you click that, that removes that person from that role. And if you actually want to remove a role altogether, so it doesn't actually exist anymore, over on the right-hand side, again, let me just zoom in here a little bit. You can see a little X here. If you click on that little X, that will remove that role from your board altogether. Coming on again, then we've got committees. So in here you can see a list of all of the committees that you already have on your board and any other groups of people on your board. Now, the reason that this area allows you to have groups that aren't just your committees, for two reasons really. So on the notice board, if you wanted to send an email about your post to just a few specific people, so for example, my head, chair and clerk here, you could do so. So if you have that set up as a group in your committees area here, you can just choose for that email to go to the members of this particular group. It's also particularly useful in the documents section. So you can restrict a folder of documents so that it's only visible to the members of a particular group or a particular committee. So again, if you have your head, chair and clerk group like we have here, you can restrict your folder of documents so that it's only visible to the members of that particular group. To create a new committee or a new group, click on the link here. You can then give your new committee a name. So I'm going to go with Finance Committee for mine here. Click Done Renaming, and then click Add a Member, and you can add all of the members of your committee. So I'm going to choose just a few people from my board here, and that adds them all as members of the committee. You can assign roles at a committee level as well. So you'll see as I hover over the members of my committee here, I've got options to toggle on things like the chair, vice chair, and clerk of this committee. So you can track those details within your committees as well. You can also have admin rights at a committee level. Now, what that means is if someone's an admin for a committee, if you have one of those restricted document folders, so a folder that's only visible to the members of a particular committee, anyone who's got admin rights in that committee has a few extra powers to do things like locking documents so that they can't be changed by anyone else, restricting downloading on any of those documents so they can't be downloaded too. So that's the reason for having admins at a committee level. This will all become clearer once I go through the document section in just a minute. Going on again, then we've got the Constitution. So in here you can see all of the different categories in your Constitution and who is assigned to which category, their term of office and first appointed dates, and also any vacancies that you have. So at a glance you can see really clearly where you may need to fill a space in your Constitution. Underneath the Constitution, you've also got the other members of your board. So they're ones that are members of your board's GovernorHub page, but aren't actually allocated to the Constitution itself. So things like your clerk, associate members, Jane Doe, who I actually haven't given an appointment to yet. If you want to update any of this information, again, you've got those three vertical dots. So I can do the same actions that I had on the main members list. I can edit their term of office, reappoint them, remove them as this particular type of governor. And for vacancies, I can also fill the vacancies at this point as well. So if I wanted to assign Jane as a co-opted governor, I could do so, choose Jane from the list, fill in term of office dates and all those sorts of things. And that will save Jane as a co-opted governor in here, and she's no longer in the other members list at the bottom. So there's kind of two ways that you can set those appointment details for somebody, either in the members list, click on their name and add an appointment, or in the constitution, assign them to a vacancy. You need to edit your constitution. Click, sorry, I did that very quickly. Click on this edit button at the top here. Here you can see a list of all of the types that you have and the number of posts and the term length for each of those two. Now the default is 4 years, but if you do have any types of governors in your constitution that have a shorter or a longer term length, you can define that in GovernorHub, and anywhere that we're automatically setting sort of end dates and things for terms of office, we'll always take that into account when we're doing so. To add a category, click Add Category here, and again, we've hopefully got every single possible type that you could ever need to add to your constitution. Find the one that you want to add. This is where you can change that term length. You can change the number of posts. You can even set it to be a range. So if you have, you must have at least one skills governor, but could have up to 5. You can set that if you want to. Save that information there to your constitution. And you'll see that's added skills governors in there. And if I click done editing, you'll see I've now got a vacancy for my skills governor here. Coming along again in here, you've got downloads. So this is where you can pull out pretty much any information that you might need to pull out of GovernorHub. Things like your current members list, a list of your current members that includes any contact details that might be hidden. So you've just got to be careful with this one that you don't inadvertently share it with somebody who you shouldn't be. A list of your current members in a GIS format. So that's the spreadsheet that they send you to fill in. We give you the data in the exact same format, so you can just copy and paste it over and send it back to them. List of all your historical members, so all the previous members of your board. We also keep a record of any changes that are made to any of your members, so people added or removed, the appointments, term of office date changes, types of governor changes, those sorts of things, and your roles and committees as well. And you can export those from here. So a sort of audit trail of everything that's ever happened to your board on GovernorHub. You'll see that most of these are available in different formats, PDF, Word, or Excel. Some of them only Excel, just due to the nature of the type of report. But hopefully you've got all the data there you need in the format you need. You've got these records and checks, so things like training records, declarations of interest, confirmations, and DBS checks. So those confirmations are things like the code of conduct and keeping children safe in education. A list of all your meetings. So when I go through the calendar, you'll see where you can add all of your meetings. But you can download a list for pretty much any academic year of all of your meetings, and also attendance for your meetings. Again, I'll show you when I go through the calendar how you can mark the attendance for your meetings. You can download those, you can download your committees, your constitution, and for your documents. So in the documents area, you can set review dates on documents, so really handy for things like policies. And here you can download a list of all of the documents that have review dates. You can sign documents in the documents area. So I think for things like minutes, you can sign them off electronically and download a list of all of these signed documents. Or if you just wanted to download all of your documents all at once, you can do, say you were moving away from GovernorHub for whatever reason. Finally, then you have this About section. So in here, you can upload a logo for your board. It just makes it look a bit nicer up here on the washing line, especially if you do clerk for multiple boards. Makes it much easier to distinguish between up on the washing line up here. This is where you can set your Twitter username for your school. So as I say, we've got it set to the usual GovernorHub one, but if your school has a Twitter username, set that and that will pull through the tweets to the side of the notice board. You can also change how we refer to your board. So by default, we refer to it as governing board. So we'll say, members of the governing board confirmations, those sorts of things. But if your board is referred to with any other names, quite common with academies where you might be a local governing board, you might be a local academy committee, those sorts of things, you can update GovernorHub so that we use the terminology that you use. Coming down here, you've got those confirmations that I mentioned on the profile page. So here's the online safety policy confirmation and the very important I agree to find my class peak at least once per term. This is where you can add those confirmations that will appear on all of your governor's profile pages. To add a new confirmation, click Add. You've then got two fields to fill in. The first one is the confirmation statement. Now, something to note in here is once you have saved your confirmation, you won't be able to change this confirmation statement. That's just because you could get people to confirm to something and then change it, and it makes it look like they've confirmed to something completely different. So once you've put in your confirmation statement, you won't be able to change it. But the most common example we use here is I agree to abide by the governing board's code of conduct. And rather than writing that in, I'm just going to copy and paste that in here as my statement. You've then got an area for a description. So this is where you can write a little bit more information about this particular confirmation. You can do something like, here is the link to the document. And then using that link icon, the same one that we had on the notice board, you can then type in the name of the document that you want to link, as long as it's in your board's document section. And there we go. And that will appear with this confirmation on everybody's profile page. So they've got that link off to read the document and then they can come back and confirm. This description can be changed later. So if you needed to update that link or add any more information, you can change that using those little three dots that we've got here if you need to. Hit save, just confirm, and you'll see there's your confirmation ready for everybody to use on their profile page. Then finally, you've got this section for who can see and do what. So it's a really nice way of knowing what data and what areas of your board's GovernorHub page are exposed to who. And it also outlines what are those extra powers that you have as admins. So for example, on the notice board, anybody can view, create and delete posts, and admins can also delete other people's posts and comments as well. There's lots of really handy information in there. So if you're just a bit unsure, do check out this area to see who can see your information. That's the governing board tab. So again, I'll pause just for any questions that have come in. As I see lots of action going on. Loads of questions coming in. Do keep firing them in on the Q&A. That's what the team are on hand to answer. Lovely. I don't think there's anything I need to answer at the moment. Brilliant. Okay, so I'll come back down the line and I will go through the documents area. So this documents area is much like any other document storage that you might have, so perhaps on your computer or any other sort of cloud storage system. You've got folders, like with the ones we have here. Then within those folders, you could have perhaps more folders and more folders within those. And then within each of those folders, not this one, maybe this one, is where your documents might lie. Now, you see, as I'm clicking around my documents here, I get this sort of breadcrumb trail of where I am. So if I wanted to jump back up to the higher folder, I can click on it there, or I can go right back up to the top and click on that button there. Now we have a recommended way of structuring your document section. It's totally up to you, but this is our recommended structure, and it's to have a folder for the full governing board, then a folder per committee, and then a folder for things like governor evidence. So that will contain things like your governor reports and kind of skills audits and those sorts of things. A folder for school evidence. So this will be things like your SDP and head teacher reports and those sorts of things. And then a folder for all of your policies as well. And when you first start using GovernorHub, your document section will be empty, and we've got a nice little sort of magic button that you can click on, and that will generate these folders according to your sort of committees that you have, and create these other folders for you as well. So rather than having to start from scratch, if you want to, you can click that button and we'll kind of give you a skeleton set up for your board. Within each of those committee folders and the full governing board folder, we recommend having a folder per academic year. And then within each of those, a folder per meeting. And then as you saw earlier, that's where the documents for those meetings would live. To upload documents then, I'll just come up to my 21-22 academic year folder here. If you wanted to create a folder, you can click on the Add button and go Create New Folder. Give it a name, so I'm going to go with Tomorrow, even though I'm sure you'd be doing this much further in advance. But say I had a meeting coming up tomorrow, pop in the name of the date of the meeting, I should say, and hit Create. Then your folder is ready for you to upload documents, which you can do in a couple of ways. If you click Add, you can upload a file, which will let you just browse your computer, find the file that you want to upload, and upload it. If you have your documents in a zip folder, and in fact, if you are moving over to GovernorHub from another system, you might download everything that you've already got as a zip file. You can upload a folder in its entirety, as long as it's a zip file, using this button here, and we'll sort of extract all the contents for you and put them all into the relevant folders and things. But another way to upload documents is if you have them on your computer in a folder. So I'm just going to bring my documents over here from my computer. So this is a folder I have of all of the documents for a particular meeting. I've got a mix of Word documents, PDF, an Excel document, even a folder here, which itself contains a document. What I can do is I can select all of them and simply drag and drop them into my folder on GovernorHub, and that uploads everything nicely for me. So even that folder that has its own document inside. Now you notice any folders that I create and any documents that I upload have this padlock symbol next to them. And what that means is that the document or the folder is locked and can only be changed by admins. So it can only be deleted, renamed, or moved by another admin. And anything that you upload or any folders that you create as an admin will be locked by default. So it just prevents things from being accidentally changed. And also you don't need to worry about going in and locking everything. It will be locked already for you. Now, if you want to view any of the documents that you have on GovernorHub, you can simply click on the name of the document that you want to view, and that will open within our inbuilt document viewer here. So you don't have to download the documents to view them. You can open them up directly within GovernorHub like this. Particularly handy if you're in a board meeting and you've got a big screen or something that you can load GovernorHub up onto. You can then have all the documents there and everyone can sort of see them at the same time, which is quite handy. Of course, if you want to, you can download the documents using this download button here, and you can print from directly within GovernorHub as well using this print button. Now there's lots more options for documents, which you'll get to using these three vertical dots. If we click on that, you'll see there's lots more options here. The first one, share on notice board. That creates a notice board post for you and links that document. So much like we did by using this link icon here, this sort of goes the other way. You can start in the document section and share something onto the notice board. You can download the document. You can copy a link to the documents. If you wanted to put that link somewhere else, you can. Rename, move the documents. If you wanted to have this in another folder, you can do, or in fact, you can simply drag and drop documents in GovernorHub as well. So my confidential minutes here, actually, I'd rather have them in my confidential folder. So I can simply drag and drop them into the confidential folder, and that's moved them in there for me. You can also, just to point out, move any documents out of this folder and into any of the folders that you have up on your sort of breadcrumb trail of where you are up here too. So that's moving. Let me go onto the agenda one here. Make a copy. So if you wanted a copy of this document in another folder, you can do. Much like pinning to the notice board, you can pin documents to the top of the folder that they're in. So there we go. I can pin my agenda to the top of my meeting folder there. You can unlock documents, so if you're happy for them to be removed or renamed or moved by anyone who's not an admin, you can do. This is where you can set the review date that I mentioned earlier. So you can pick a date that this document needs to be reviewed by. Now, actually, if I hop out into my policies folder here, you can see that in a bit more detail. So you can see these are my policies that I have. Oh, lots of them are actually overdue for review. And so we will color code those. Anything that's not due for review for a little while, so like my health and safety policy here is green. Anything that's overdue for review will come up in red. And you can change or clear the review date for anything that's already got a date set. So in fact, if that actually wasn't coming up for review until the end of this month, I can set that and you'll see it actually turns orange. So it means it's not overdue, but actually you should probably be aware that it's coming up for review soon. Back into my meeting folder then. You can mark documents as signed. So this is particularly handy for things like your minutes that you might have here. You could ask your chair to click on the 3 dots once they're happy with them and mark them as signed. If a document is locked, it can still be marked as signed by someone who's not an admin. So you don't need to worry about unlocking a document for it to be signed. That's all okay. And you'll see once I've marked that as signed, it saves who it was signed by. And if you hover, you'll see the date that it was signed as well. And you can have as many people signing documents as you need to. So if you actually need it signed by your chair and your vice chair or both co-chairs, you can do. You can disable downloading on a particular document. So if in fact you don't want people to be able to download a copy of this document to their computer, you can disable downloading. It means they'll only be able to see it within our built-in document viewer on GovernorHub. And they won't be able to print it from within GovernorHub as well if downloading is disabled. And you can delete documents in this menu as well. Now, earlier I mentioned restricting the visibility of folders. So you'll see under this visible to column here, all of my documents in here are currently visible to the governing board. So that's everybody who's on my board's GovernorHub page. But if I wanted to restrict, for example, my confidential folder to one of my committees or one of my groups of people that I've got set up, I can use this drop down here. And that will give me all of the committees and groups that I'm a member of. So if you're not a member of one of the committees, you won't be able to restrict a folder to that committee. And so for that reason, we recommend that as clerk, you make yourself a member of all of your committees and your groups on GovernorHub, as long as that's appropriate, so that you can restrict any of the documents that you need to, and also means that you can see everything as well that you need to see. But say I wanted just my finance committee to be able to see this confidential folder here. I can choose that, confirm, and you'll see it then comes up to say it's got restricted visibility. And if I open that folder, you'll see it's only visible to the members of the finance committee. So this item 6 and my confidential minutes only visible to the members of that committee. Anyone who's not a member of that committee won't even know that this folder exists. It's totally invisible to them. The final thing you can add to your folders then is a web link. Now, using this add menu up here, you can add a web link. So this is much like the kind of link icon that we had on the notice board and under the confirmation. So you can paste in a link to an external website, something that you want to share, perhaps a Google Doc or a sort of Office Online document. So if you wanted to have all of your governors collectively collaborate on a particular document, you could have that on somewhere like Google Docs and pop the link in here. We often get asked about collaborative editing of documents on GovernorHub, and it is something we're actively working on, but something that's surprisingly tricky. We've got a few boards trialing it at the moment, so if it's something that you want to try, do let us know. But it's not something that we can roll out widely at the moment because there's quite a bit of complexity to it. But what you can also use this for is to add links to other documents in your document section. So rather than having a particular document or a folder in multiple different places in your document section, so lots of places where you would need to keep it up to date, what you can do is you can add a link to, say, your online safety policy, because that's something that you need to review within this particular meeting. And it will go in much like the other links that you've seen on GovernorHub, but instead of being a copy of that particular document, it is a link to that the document itself in the folder that it lives in. So it'll be in my sort of policies folder in here. There it is. So let's say it saves you having to keep that same policy up to date in lots of different folders in your document section. The final thing in here then is there is a search option. So if you know the name of a document and you just don't know what folder it's in, you can search through your document section if needed. So those are the documents. Again, let me pause, see if there's anything that the team have flagged up for me to pick up. No, they're doing such a great job that there's nothing that I need to answer. That's brilliant. Thank you, team. Final bit in your boards page then is the calendar. Now, this is a calendar that anyone can create events in. And in fact, I should have mentioned in the document section, anyone can upload documents. That's not just admins that need to do that. But again, as admins, you do have extra powers within both the document section and the calendar section as well. You can see the calendar as a week like we are here, or you can see a full month at a time. Events are color coded, so you can specify that the event is for a particular committee or for the full governing board, or perhaps specifically for the school itself, so something like a school holiday, for example. To navigate around the calendar, you can use these arrows here to jump forward or jump backwards. You can even use this mini calendar on the right hand side. So if you want to jump right ahead to, say, April next year, you can then click on that week in the mini calendar, or today to go back to today. There's a couple of ways that you can add events to the calendar. You can either click on this big blue add event button here, and that will open up the box for you to add the details of the meeting. Or you can actually click and drag on the calendar itself. So say I had a meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m. I can click at 4, drag my mouse down to, say, 6 p.m. when it's going to be finishing. And as soon as I let go, that brings up the same box for me to fill in the details. But the good thing there is the date and the time is already filled in for me. You can then give it a title. So I'm going to say this is a full governing board meeting. The location, so whether that's the school or whether that's a Zoom meeting, for example. You can update the date and the times if you need to, if you've not actually quite dragged on the calendar properly. Or you can set it to be an all-day event. So this is handy for things like those school holidays or maybe sports days or something like that. This is where the color coding comes in. So this is where you can set who the event is for, one of your committees, the full board, or the school itself. I'm going to set this to be for my full governing board. You can track who it was clerked by. Now, because I chose for it to be for my full governing board, my clerk is already filled in for me. But say I had someone standing in as the clerk that particular day, I can amend that if needed. This is where you can link a folder of documents to your calendar event. So if I click select a folder, I can then browse through my board's document section, open up any of the folders that I need to, click on the one that I want to link. If you don't actually have the folder at this point, you can create the folder. And so that will be ready once you start adding papers. The people can then, your governors can then click on the link to the folder in the calendar event. Once you've got that, click select, and you'll see that's linked that to my meeting. This is where you can then post in the video meeting details. Now, if it was a Zoom meeting, it looks something like this. You'll have sort of some text saying join the meeting. It will then have a kind of joining link with a number and all sorts of things. Now, you can put as much information into this box as you like. So often there's things like meeting codes and passwords and those sorts of things. And what we do is we have a clever bit of code which will look over this information and spot the thing that looks like the link to the meeting. And that's what we pull out and put in all those handy places, like on the news feed to the right-hand side with that video kind of button. Attendees. So you can add attendees to your meeting. If you want to add all of the members of your board, you can click Add All Members. Or if you just wanted to add the members of a particular committee, if this was a meeting for my committee, you can do. Or you can even add an individual person. So if I want to add John as well, who happens to be attending this meeting, I can do. Now, you probably wouldn't do this at the point of setting up the meeting, but after the meeting, you can edit it and you can come back in and mark the attendance. So just click on the relevant button for each person. And this is the information that fills into that attendance download in the downloads area. So it will pull all of your meetings for a particular academic year and fill in these details for you. So you can then publish that on your school's website or wherever you need to. Then finally, you can lock events. So again, they can only be changed by admins, and anything that you create as an admin will be locked by default. You don't need to worry about that. Once you're happy with all the details, then click Save, and you'll see that saved my meeting to the calendar here. So anyone can click on that event, and at the top, they'll see all of the details for the meeting. There's a link off to the folder. There's the link to the Zoom meeting. You can download a sign-on sheet if you have set attendees for your meeting. So that's really handy, especially if you are maybe temporarily filling in for another clerk. You can download the sign-on sheet, bring that along, get people to sign themselves in, or just use it for your own record keeping if you want to. If you want to go back and edit any of the information, the attendees, those sorts of things, you can click Edit there, or you can delete the meeting altogether if needed. Final bit on the calendar then is you can subscribe to your board's calendar. Again, really handy if you do clerk for multiple boards or you're a member of multiple governing boards. You can subscribe to your GovernorHub calendar using this button here or using this link that you can sort of copy and paste in to your calendar. And that means that all of the events in your GovernorHub calendar will display on your personal calendar, whether that's in Outlook or Google Calendars or on your phone or your tablet, whatever sort of personal electronic calendar that you use. And then any changes that happen to the events on GovernorHub are instantly reflected into your own device. We even sync things like that video meeting link and the link to the folder of documents and all those sorts of things. So you've got those in the calendar that you use kind of most commonly. So that rounds out the board functionality on GovernorHub. I've got a final few things to mention, but if there are any questions about that board functionality, do let us know in the Q&A. We can answer any queries that you might have. The final couple of bits that I'll point out though is we hope that GovernorHub is as easy to use as possible, but if you do ever get stuck or if any of your governors get stuck, we have an extensive help center, which you can get to by clicking on help in the top bar here. That'll take you through to our help center where there's collections of articles on hopefully everything that you could ever need. So you've got the basics, which will be really handy for your governors, just sort of a guide on getting started and getting up and running. Things specifically to do with documents. There's a collection specifically for clerks and admins. So this is quite a handy collection of documents, of help articles, I should say. So it shows you how to add members, edit terms of office, add custom confirmations, do all that sort of thing. You can also search through the help center. So if you wanted help specifically on the calendar, you can search and hopefully find the article that you need. As I say, do recommend to your governors that they head here first. If they get stuck using GovernorHub, hopefully it's got the answer that they need. But if not, if you can't find the answer that you were looking for, on every page on GovernorHub in the bottom right hand corner, there's this little blue chat bubble. If you click on that, you can send us a message here and that will come through to our support team, the ones that are very helpfully on the Q&A with us this morning. But you can say help, obviously give us a bit more information about what you're stuck on. Again, do encourage your governors to get in touch this way. It's really helpful. It gives us more information like what sort of device they're using, whether it's a phone or a laptop, if they're on sort of Chrome or Edge, or what type of browser they're on. And as you can see here, it also suggests articles for them. So if they've asked specifically about restricting visibility of a folder, we've got a nice little kind of bot that will give them suggestions. It says we usually reply within a day, but it's usually much, much faster. And that will come through straight to us, and we can hopefully get you and your governors back up and running. So that's GovernorHub. So that is all of the wonderful functionality that you have as admins for your board's GovernorHub now. As I say, if you are here because you've got GovernorHub now as part of your subscription to the Key for School Governors, as admins, to give people access to the Key for School Governors, all you need to do is add them as a member of your board in here. So much like I did for Jane Doe. And that will automatically give that person access to the Key for School Governors through this icon up here on the washing line. So you don't need to add them in both places. All you need to do is add them to GovernorHub, and they've got access to GovernorHub and the Key for School Governors. If you're just here because you wanted to know more about GovernorHub itself, that's all of the functionality that you have. You've got the notice board, calendar, documents, and your governing board tracking. You might also have on GovernorHub, if you do subscribe to GovernorHub through a governor services provider or through a MAT, for example, up on the washing line, you might have an icon for that governor services or for that MAT. That is the place to find resources and news and updates from them. So definitely check those out as well on your washing line if you have it. I'll pause here and just check for any questions that have come in. Yeah, great question there that's just come in. So will this webinar be available to anyone who hasn't signed up? I'd like to let all our clerks know that they can refer to this if they haven't attended or haven't received the recording. Yes, absolutely. So we'll put this up on our YouTube channel. We'll be circulating it out to everyone who's here today. Feel free to share that link with whoever you think might find it useful. It will also be up if anyone messages us on the help desk, we'll also send it out to anyone we think might find it useful when they get in touch as well. Lovely. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. What we'll do is we'll hang around for another few minutes or so. Just if you have any pressing questions, please fire them in, and we'll make sure that we pick those up. If you go away and you start using GovernorHub and you have lots more questions that you think of as you actually start to use it, we're always on hand on that little chat in the bottom right hand corner. Do get in touch. We love to hear from you. Also, if there's anything that you think GovernorHub should do and it doesn't, something that you think would make your life a lot easier as a clerk or as a governor, do let us know. We're really, really open to feature requests. We take every single one of them on board and we report them all to the team. And that really shapes our sort of development and where we take GovernorHub going forward. So do let us know. But other than that, I will let you all get on with the rest of your Thursday. Thank you all so much for joining me, and happy GovernorHubbing, everybody. Thank you so much.